Welcome, everybody, to another installment of the WrestleZone Weekly Road Report. I'm your host, Joe Dombrowski, and we have a very, very eclectic and unique guest this week. Enigmatic, if you will. I'll be joined by Jeff Hardy in just a second as we talk about Total Nonstop Deletion, airing this upcoming Thursday night, 8 p.m. on Pop TV, featuring tag team Apocalypto. Hope I'm saying that correctly. Where Broken Matt and Brother Nero attempt to prove their tag team supremacy to everybody else across the world, and you never know who and what is going to show up there. 2 hours of TNA television from the Hardy compound, and when I spoke to Jeff, Matt was in attendance in the building that day as well, and both Hardys were very excited about what's to come as part of this broadcast, but we're also careful to not tell me too much. So let's go to now my interview with Jeff Hardy. All right, this is Joe Dombrowski. We are currently in the world-famous historic Jaffa here in Altoona, Pennsylvania. A lot of wrestling history here. Jim Cornette almost got arrested here one time. A lot of other wrestling history has gone down, and I'm here with a piece of wrestling's history, a piece of wrestling's present, and very much its future as well. Legend in this business, still on the rise. The charismatic enigma. Some know him as Brother Nero. Jeff Hardy, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We are on the cusp of a Hardy resurgence here. We're in the middle of a Hardy resurgence throughout the entire year. Broken Matt and Brother Nero, you guys have taken a chance. You've reinvented yourself. You're changing the business, and there's more eyes on you and more lips talking about you than there have been in many, many years. We've talked to Matt before, and in his broken brilliance way kind of got his opinion, but you is kind of the one that were deleted and rendered obsolete. You kind of were begrudgingly forced into this. What is your take on this whole bizarre bit of, and you're a bit bizarre yourself, no offense, but
sure.
What is your take on what we've seen from the Hardys' metamorphosis in 2016?
Well, first of all, it's a compliment for me to be called bizarre. I love that word. I've used it many times, but I think we've just changed the game to a certain extent, and the main thing with that is we've reinvented ourselves in the process, and that's so important. You know, we're older now, and we're not as fast and agile as we used to be, but we're doing different things now, and Matt's broken brilliance has honestly rubbed off on me, not to the fullest extent of being or sounding like completely like a crazy maniac, but I've kind of broken different directions with my personalities, as far as everybody's familiar with Willow. And coming up in December at Total Nonstop Deletion, Itchweed, 3 E's, is going to make his wrestling debut. And I can't wait for the world to see that, because that, by far, is bizarre. Now, we've seen a little bit of Itchweed on Impact. I believe he made a cameo at Bound for Glory. If you could give us a soundbite, one sentence to describe what the heck an Itchweed is, what would that be? An itchweed is basically a professional landscaper that's a badass weed eater, weed whacker, and can cut designs in any grass in front of him. And the main thing is, I can weed eat like a motherfucker, boy. I can weed eat like a motherfucker, come on, boy. You mess with me, man, I'm a badass first pro wrestling match. You don't want to miss it, man. It's going to be in Apocalypto, TND, coming December 15th, I believe. So it's something like that. When I switch gears and get into it fully in costume, it's pretty dope. Out of all of the bizarre characters over the years, the proverbial box of gimmicks, I don't think we've ever had a pro wrestling landscaper. So we're breaking new ground there as well. He's interesting.
What are we in for with this Total Nonstop Deletion? This, you guys have taken over the buzz, the attention, but now you're taking over the whole program, and I believe that the whole show is going to be on the Hardy compound. Is that correct? It is, yeah. It all takes place on our property, man. The property we grew up on as little kids, running through the woods, building hideouts. I mean, and here we are, pretty much doing the entire show from our property. And I think by far it's going to be basically the funnest wrestling show anybody's ever seen. And when you talk about the actual main event, the Apocalypto match, it's probably going to be the wildest and funniest and funnest, wrestling match that's ever been televised. And the Hardys are out to prove tag team supremacy and dominance throughout the industry. Every tag team in the universe is invited to this. Ryan Satin broke the news on Pro Wrestling Sheet. The Rock and Roll Express will be involved in this somehow. Obviously, you can't reveal any other surprises, I'm sure, nor do we want you to, but exactly how out of hand and how wild is this going to get?
There's no limits, man. I mean, we're talking about volcano. We're talking about hydraulic lifts. I mean, we're talking about you see the pet cemetery again. We tried to bury decay. I mean, that comes back. But overall, it's just going to be nuts. But speaking of Rock and Roll Express, I know Ricky Morton well, and he's told me, you know, it's on his bucket list to have this dream match with the Hardy Boys. And I was like, what? It's on my bucket list as well. So you're going to get a taste of that. It's not an actual regular pro wrestling match, but it is super fun and super cool and very bizarre.
And let's talk a little more about Jeff Hardy as a whole. We've been watching you put your body at risk for, God, what, 2 decades now?
Yeah.
What is your status physically? How are you feeling right now?
Not too bad considering. You know, I broke my leg back in April of 2015 on my dirt bike.
That's what started all this.
Yeah, it did.
It's your fault.
And in a way, maybe things do happen for a reason. Because you're right, it did start that. Matt was the world champion, basically, because of that for a while. And then I ended up, well, I broke my leg, then I broke my brother, and now here we are in all this madness. Isn't that beautiful? I mean...
and next we break the world.
And next we break the world. You couldn't have said it better, man, especially with Total Nonstop Deletion. And moving forward to 2017, there's no telling what's going to happen with TNA and our creativity. I mean, when we get together, we create really special stuff, and hopefully the world feels the same way.
How do we follow Jeff Hardy on social media?
You don't really. Matt's the social media guy, but if you want to, it's Jeff Hardy Brand and Instagram Jeff Hardy Brand. I take pictures from time to time. Tweet very rarely, but there's a huge thing that's broke out. It's a little over a month. It's been active now. It's JeffHardyBrand.com. You can buy original artwork. My music's going to all be coming through there, and yeah, JeffHardyBrand.com. It looks great, and the music is sounding great, and we're about to record 6 more songs in January for the next band album, but there should be an EP coming out before Christmas that the fans will be able to get at JeffHardyBrand.com. Check it out. Musician,
landscaper, wrestler, anything but obsolete, my friend. Jeff Hardy?
Yeah, I think in a way I've made obsolete cool, and that, again, is bizarre.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Again, it is Total Nonstop Deletion this upcoming Thursday night. And hopefully you're watching this or listening to this live, and as it's released on Wednesday, in which case it'll be this upcoming Thursday. If you're listening to the archives, you'll have to go to your video on demand feature and find the episode. But it's Total Nonstop Deletion featuring Tag Team Apocalypto. And I'm most excited just to see who the heck is going to show up. I feel like this broadcast will leave me very conflicted. I'm a big fan of the traditionalist side of wrestling, but also very in key and in tune with the fact that the business needs to evolve as well. I'm sure there'll be a bit of a mixed palette of what goes on in this broadcast. You can find more information about me at joe-dombrowski.com. I'll be in McKeesport, Pennsylvania this weekend for Pro Wrestling Express, pwxtv.com. And I'll be back with another road report next week. My guest will be one half of the legendary Rock and Roll Express. We'll talk to Ricky Morton. Perfect time to release this interview. Ricky will be part of Total Nonstop Deletion. We'll talk about Ricky, his career, his family, and a whole lot more next week on the WrestleZone Weekly Road Report. Thanks for listening.